Russian Stout was the original. It started off with Barclay Perkins. It was the first one that went out properly to Russia. Now Jim, who's holding the microphone so he's not got as big a gob as I have. Jim was actually the last person to brew Courage Imperial, how many years ago? 28 years ago. So Jim was the last person to brew this properly. So the fact that actually Jim and I, when Wells and Youngs bought up the Courage brand, for those of you who don't know Wells and Youngs, they have several brands. They have Wells, they have Youngs, you won't be surprised to hear that. They also have Courage. They brew a few lagers as well, but hats off to them. When they first bought this brand back, they were quite open to listening to me and Jim going off in their ear about brewing this beer again. Now the interesting is actually I didn't know when I first spotted that they had Courage that Jim was the last guy to brew it. And I think we probably bonded over that, didn't we?
We did.
So we bonded over that. And I had to say, the last time I tried this was about 6 to 8 weeks ago out of maturation tank. So even the end product's going to be a surprise to me. But I did describe the stuff that came out of the maturation tank as sex in a fucking glass. This is the bomb. This is the bomb. You can quote me on that. So anyway, I'm going to hand over to Jim to tell you a bit about the beer, a bit about the history, and then we're going to open it up. We're going to hand out the glasses while Jim's talking, and then I'm going to open up some of the beers, and then we can all taste them.
Thank you, Melissa. Yeah.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and can I tell you what an honour it is to be here launching what's been a passion of mine here at the Great American Beer Festival in Denver. Courage Imperial Russian Stout is not just an iconic beer, it's the beer that gave the name to the whole range. First brewed in London in around about 1790 and continuously brewed in London till about 1980. Is everybody getting a glass?
Kyle Seelenberger.
Okay, I don't know how many of you in the room are brewers. I know you all love beer, but for those of you who are brewers, you might want to know a little bit about how we make it. Okay, it's a long process in time, but probably not where you would think it would take a long time. So this beer spends less time in a fermenting vessel than almost anything else I brew. And that's one of the first unusual things about the beer. Fermentation is so vigorous it climbs out of the tank. But the idea is to get down from the collection gravity to about 30% of the way as quickly as possible, then we arrest the fermentation and move it to a maturation tank. And we slowly finish off the fermentation over about 3 months. That produces a particularly mellow and smooth character. But the other really important part of the smoothness and mellowness of the beer is the sort of materials that we use. And the big secret for the formulation of Courage Russian Stout is use of a substantial amount of amber malt. And if you don't use something like an amber malt and try and get all of your colour and character from a dark malt, you get a much bitter, more astringent beer. So we quite deliberately don't want a bitter, astringent beer. Having said that, it has got a BU level of around 60. So it's all part of the heritage to keep the beer and to protect it from the bad guys that make it go sour. So we don't want it as a sour beer either. the beers are being handed out, does anybody have any questions? Anybody want to ask anything?